everyone. Today we got to play the Search for Planet X. This is a clue-based game, mystery. You're trying to use different logic to eventually find Planet X along with other things in the solar system. But before we get into that, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you want to be able to find us again. So,
we're not hard to find as Planet X, though.
We're a little bit easier. You just go to YouTube, Google.
Do a search. Yeah, you can find us. We're everywhere. We've got channels all over the place.
So, tell us more about this game, though.
All right. Well, it was Search for Planet X was released by Renegade Games and Foxtrot Games. Designer was Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett. The artists were James Massino and Michael Pedro. It's got a Board Game Geek rating of 8.2, so it's actually pretty well liked. It's a newer game, though, so they always skew. Newer ones tend to skew higher on the scores, but it's a generally favorable score for this.
When was this came out?
This came out, I believe, this year. I didn't write down the year, but I think it was this year. If not, it was late 2020.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's talk about quality pieces. So you do actually have organizer trays.
Well,
for
the base game does not have them. There is a New Horizon upgrade pack that gives you the organizer trays, the plastic theory tokens, and the metal coins for your targeting.
Not gonna lie, this game needs that.
Yeah. The rest of it was just cardboard components. So, I mean, there's a wood in the sun, which is.
So I'm gonna pretend that this expansion
comes with it, basically.
Comes with
it because I would not want to play it without it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You have these really cool screens, but they are kind of flimsy, but they work. And well, that's more rules. And then the board is actually really nice, great art. I do love the upgraded pieces. I love the organization tray. The paper is fine. So for quality, I would probably definitely give this a 7.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the theme will get into the art on it, but as far as the components, if you're playing with the upgrade pack, these pieces are great. They have a nice weight to them. The coins are decent. They're not great, but they're not bad. I do like the figures, and they made them custom. Each one has a different observatory on it, each color.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's kind of neat.
They had purple.
Yeah, they had purple. So
I'll give it an 8. I forgot. half a point for purple.
I'm probably more at the 7.5, but I think it's a good score. It's a good game as far as the quality.
Mm-hmm. With the expansion.
Yeah, with the expansion. If you take the expansion out, I'm more like a 6.
Okay. So then the next piece is obviously theme. So the theme is you are using your observatories and you're trying to locate Planet X in the midst of the universe where you have dwarf planets, comets, asteroids, gas clouds, and you're trying to decipher all through that. You do have to use an app for this.
Yes, it is an app based, which is a turnoff for a lot of people because a lot of people do not like that. If they want to play a board game, they want to be separated from technology. Also, there's the risk of apps not being supported in the future, and then your game is no longer useful. So there are drawbacks to this kind of game from that perspective.
But I actually like it.
I do too.
But that's more gameplay. But going over theme, I think the theme is actually pretty good. Yeah. I like the fact that it's a clue or a logic puzzle without the standard whoddunit.
Yeah.
So that is actually a great twist for me.
Well, that on the game. And there's also more ways to score in it than just solve it or don't. You can get points for other aspects of the game. So yeah, I liked it for that reason as well. I also like from a thematic standpoint, the board is beautiful. I like the scenery around it, and I like the way it features you rotating around the Earth, on the Earth around the sky. So when you take actions, you're moving your timeline along, and you're seeing different parts of the sky. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, as far as theme goes, I think this gets a solid 8. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, thematically, it's a fun theme. It's not something you see very often. I mean, you see space games very often. You don't see space from the aspect of you're on Earth observing space, which is kind of cool. and the board, this way it's styled, it looks like what you would see going to the planetarium. I mean, it's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. So what was the score for you?
I'm probably right there with you on an 8 on this one. Thematically, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to rules, I will say for the cheat sheet on the back of your player screen, total win. This is really all you need. So for me...
Well, it isn't. The one thing that is missing that it should have had is the score. The scoring is not on there at all.
I don't need the scoring. It's on your sheet.
Well, yes, I guess so. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. Because, yeah, I probably would have, strategized more what theories I put out if I would have been paying attention to the sheet, because I would have gone for the higher scoring ones as opposed to the lower scoring ones. Which, if I was...
I think that's first gameplay.
I wasn't even thinking about, I wasn't even thinking about looking on my sheet down here for it.
I didn't even know. I was just, trying to figure out what I was doing.
Yeah.
So for me, rules, this is all I needed. Read it. I ran with it. So I'm going to give rules probably a 9 because that's all I needed.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the rule book, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It teaches the game very effectively. It tells you how everything works. There wasn't really any confusion as I went through. Just once I got the concept of how it played, I was able to figure out all of it. I didn't have to go back and read it twice or anything. It was very straightforward. It took me a minute to process, okay, if it says if Planet X can't be next to this or that and how that works. But then once I figured it out, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It's just logic problem rules. Once you get into the logic problem rules, that's when where the interesting parts of this game come in. So I thought that was neat. You get some basic ones that you're given in the thing, but we'll get into that all in the rules here. So from a rulebook perspective, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this 8.5. I think it's done a great job, and the cheat sheets in the back are top notch.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to gameplay. So basically, on your turn, you determine between a couple of actions. You can do a survey, which you pick out a group of section that has to be in the light or in the viewing. And
they have to be contiguous. You can't pick like sector 2 and sector 7. It has to be the range between.
Right, the range of it. And then you pick what you're looking for, and then you look for it. And depending on how many sectors that you choose is how much time goes by. Now, the weird thing is normally when you think you're looking at more sectors, it would take more time. But that is the opposite in this game because, which I get, is that the more finite you are, the longer it takes, but you get a lot more information or more direct information about that particular spot. So if you survey 1 to 3 sectors, it's four time. But if it's 7, 8, or 9, it's 2 time. And in between 4, 5, 6 is 3. So, but honestly, I only use the 2 time method because once, like the first one I did, there was none of that object in those 9. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, I advanced 2 or 3 spots and I would do the same thing over again. So I was searching 3, but for the cost of 2.
Yeah.
And so
I used a similar approach whenever, especially once we found out the asteroids were all clustered together in that one section, because I was able to say, well, I know those 4 are asteroids, so if I add those to the length of what I'm looking, I know I'm still getting a targeted approach based on the extra spaces that could be, and I could rule out all those other ones, so it saved me two clicks on the clock by knowing that the asteroids were taking up those spaces. So I was able to logically add things into the game to make it more strategically advantageous for myself, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, so there's definitely a way to, because I did 1 3 count, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to do, and that was only because it was the comments, and I didn't want to hit, because there was one that was already shown. Well, you guessed it, and I didn't want to hit that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so that's why I had to shorten that. So I ended up costing me 3, but it worked out just fine. And then, so that's the survey action. Then there's the target action. I didn't take.
We never used it, but what you do there is you take one of your coin tokens and you choose a sector, and you get to reveal exactly what's in that sector. And it takes 4 ticks off the clock because you're getting a lot of information for that. But it will tell you exactly what's there, except for the Planet X. If Planet X were in that sector, it would just say it's empty. And there's empty spaces in the sectors in the space too. There's actually, we didn't mention, but there's 2 settings for the game as far as sector count. You can play the standard game, which there's only 12 sectors, or the expert game, which is what we played, which had 18 sectors. And then once you do that in the app, there's actually a beginner's, an experience, and
which basically tells you how many starting clues you start with.
Exactly.
And then, so that's the target. And then there's the research, which basically you have standard rules that are given to you, but then there's 6 additional rules that are applicable for that game only that the app gives you. And then there's 2 that come across just as you play through. So those come across as you play through. All right, then the next is locate Planet X. So that's basically your final guess. But it's not final. It's just cost you 5 time. And by the time you're guessing, if you're giving up 5 spots and you don't know, then you're probably going to hand it to your opponent. Because this was a really close game. Mm-hmm. And I'm sad because I think I probably could have done it the first round if I had figured out the logic. Because I had all the information, I just didn't use it.
The first round?
No, the round before.
Round before I got it.
Because he got it. So there's that piece of it. Overall, big logic puzzle. I really like logic puzzles, so I really liked this game. So there's a lot of things about it that intrigued. I mean, it's just the logic puzzle. The only thing that gave me a headache was trying to figure out the system to keep track of everything. They give you a nice little board and they tell you to circle the right one, X the ones you don't, do the squares around the ones that you got at the beginning of the game. I don't think that that's necessary. I would just give it an X, but because that made it cluttered in my brain. But the thing I noticed is, okay, so I circled one, I should have X'd out the rest because I was getting lost because there was too much data. It's like, oh wait, is this an option? Oh wait, no, it's cleared. Yeah. So that for me. Well,
I mean, if you think about most logic puzzles, when you do them,
you've
got the X's and you spill in the boxes.
So heads up, do that because I think that got me stuck a few times just because the housekeeping wasn't making sense quite yet.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I think I had all the information. I just didn't fill it out. So housekeeping wise, I think there's a little learning curve to that if you don't kind of already know what you're doing.
Yeah. Now I will say I think the score pad is the biggest weakness of this. It's
really?
As far as it's not the design of it. The problem is they give you a pad of these, which first of all they're 2-sided with standard and expert. So if you're playing the game, 50% of the time expert and 50% standard, that's great. I don't expect we're going to be doing that. I expect we're going to be playing expert every time. So that basically means the standard side is a waste. It's going to get thrown out. Then they put the seasons in the corner. There's absolutely no reason that should be there. And it caused us problems because I tore these off, the top 2 being fall and summer. And we were not positioned.
The board.
Well, yeah, but even then, first of all, I didn't pay attention to it, so I'd already looked in the app from what summer was, which meant you were going to have to sit on the opposite side of the table, and I know that this is your seat, and we were not going to change that. So there's that, but
it's true.
But even still, that means the next 2 coming up are winter and fall.
Wait, why couldn't you have moved?
Or spring. Well, I could. I'd have to go over there, but that ain't going to happen because my seat's here.
So you were making fun of me when you would do the exact same thing.
I didn't say I wouldn't. I didn't say that. I just said, this is your position.
He likes to blame me when it's really him. He's like, oh, it's her fault. But I have
to be in my seat in Godfather position. You know that, because I can't have somebody come up behind me and shoot me in the head. So I have to have a wall behind me. Now, if they come down the fireplace, then I'm still fair game. But
I think you should be more concerned about other people shooting you. That's a little bit closer to home.
Anyway, but the problem is you could have just written like I'm autumn or spring or summer, and this wouldn't then require you in essence to play that sheet. So we're basically just going to ignore that icon in the corner, and it's like why put it
pretty.
there? Well, fine, but it's non-functional. I mean, it's really kind of a silly choice to put it there because it does limit you on the pad.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I mean, I honestly didn't even pay attention to it. So.
Well, I didn't obviously either because I just tore them off and started playing. But yeah, apart from that, I really thought this was a cool game. I like the concept of it. It felt a little finicky. It wasn't as smooth as like when we played Awkward Guess, how that one felt. I don't think I like this quite as well as Awkward Guess, but I do like it. I think it's really pretty.
I think this definitely has a group of people. I do think I want to teach my mom this because it's a little bit of a lighter version. Well, it's not Clue, but it's not quite as difficult as Awkward Guess, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a good medium. Like, it's more advanced than Clue, but it's not like crazy. So this is something really good to get people on the board, especially if they're familiar with logic puzzles. And I do think it has a place. I think I could see myself being like, hey, that logic puzzle game, let's do that, you know.
And another one you haven't got to try, and I think you'll really like, is Cryptid, which also is similar in this nature. I like that one better. I played it with a bunch of people who didn't enjoy it, which was the problem, because Rob does not like logic puzzle type games. And I played with him, and I played with him and a few others, but I think you would really like it. We've not played it or reviewed it yet, so we can have to do that sometime.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's tomorrow.
But I thought this was a cool puzzle, and I like the fact that this one is unique in that I've seen as far as that you can score. You could actually win the game without being the one who solves the main thing right first time.
Yeah. So tell me though, what's the score?
I'm probably at an 8 on it, I think, is where I'm at. I thought it was cool. I think I'm still questioning the pad choices because I think that's going to limit us on the number.
That doesn't have to do with gameplay.
Well, no. But the gameplay, I thought felt a little finicky with the app, just trying to get it used to it. Maybe as we play it more, I don't think it'll be so bad. The app was pretty straightforward. It did require you to like press a button and then choose from a list of choices after that. It wasn't quite as smooth as some of the apps. Like, for example, Forgotten Waters had a much better.
Listen, you can't compare anything to Forgotten Waters. That is.
I know, but I'm just saying, from an app design, it was much more effective.
If you guys don't know about Forgotten Waters, go to the review.
Yeah.
We got one.
And the other thing that was kind of I was surprised by was the app didn't have any sound, really. It made a little noise when you pressed the buttons. But there was no background music, no background sound. You know.
Yeah, like if you have that capability, do it.
Yeah, because I was spoiled by Forgotten Waters because it was such an amazing app.
Yeah, you totally did.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I will say, though, for this, the only thing that the circle logic clunkiness, until I figured out that housekeeping piece, which by then was too late, I think that's the only bummer I have about this game. And honestly, trying to play starting this game at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night also might have been a little issue for me. That's probably was like, my brain's hurting. Why isn't this working? So, but even with that being said, I'm not quite at an 8, and that may be because this clunkiness kind of hurt me. Like, I think the app was fine. I was fine with the app. That made sense to me. In fact, I didn't need all the noise. So for that, I was actually okay, streamlined. But this clunkiness of trying to figure it out, the housekeeping kind of bogged me down. So, but other than that, it was pretty good. I think I'm at a 7.5 though. I don't think I'm quite at an 8. Because I don't think it's there. I think it's a good, solid, hey, if I'm in the mood, I'll probably drag this out. But it's not a, hey, I'm not going to be excited every time someone pulls this out.
Yeah. Now, I do like the fact that one of the things that this had also unique is the fact that the rules were one of the things you could research. The research aspect was really a cool idea because you could get.
I think it should have cost more than one action.
I agree and disagree. I think it's useful in the sense that it's a filler that you can do. Because one of the things we didn't really touch on is with this thing rotating around, you get to sections of the board that may not be useful to you. So it's kind of a filler action you can take in those cases where you don't really have anything to scan for, because the section you're on right now, you already have the information you need for it, or you don't have anything you're looking for in that area in particular. So you could take it to kind of buy time as the thing moves a bit. Not effectively real, because it's only going to move you one, but at least it gets you to move.
No, honestly, but the thing is I think it should have costed 2.
Yeah, it may be.
Because what ended up happening is like I would move 2, and you were able to like inch your way in getting doubles and triples, and I'm like, wait, you're getting way more information than me.
But you can only do it every other turn, and that's a nice balancing. You can't like say, I'm gonna research when you get behind somebody by 3 spots. You've got to, research 1 and then do something else, which is going to push you in front
right,
of the other
but still, that one, that piece, I thought, and I'm okay with it. I just think it would have been better if it was 2.
Yeah.
Because I think it does give you substantial information, so I think it should have costed a little bit more.
Yeah.
But other than that, any last words?
No, I mean, if you enjoy logic problem type games, and there's not, there are quite a few, but there's not enough in the market, in my opinion. So, and there's not a lot of distinct ones, and this one is definitely a distinct one.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I think this stands out. I think it has a really good theme. I think all the pieces are there. Now that I know the housekeeping bit, I this is a really good solid game.
Mm-hmm.
And it does stand out a little bit, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. How about you guys? Goodbye.
All right, see you next time.
See ya.
Hopefully she'll be more awake then.
I'm not that. I mean, yeah, I'm that tired.
Yeah, you're that tired. All right, good night.
Good night, bye.
Bye.